Aside from a few dogs, Amber and Lucky were the only ones living at Starlight for 6 months until Emma and I arrived. When we got there, we quickly realized that Lucky was king. It wasn't until later that I figured out that Amber had been calling the shots. But Lucky, he had this charisma about him, this adventurous spirit that we were all attracted to, that we gravitated to. He was, after all, our top hunter, our chief warrior. He was muscle for Amber. As for Emma and me, well, just months earlier we had lost our parents. The raiders, they took Emma and I to Corvega, in shackles. I guess the plan was to sell us into slavery, but Emma, she got her hands on a bobby pin. She sprung us loose. I managed to get my hands on a pipe pistol. We grabbed some potatoes, and we ran. We came upon Starlight, and right off the bat, I decided to plant these potatoes. I guess a sign of goodwill, and if for no other reason to, add variety to their crop. Just by doing that, I became their default gardener. Amber, she ended up calling me Greenthumb. I, I prefer Otto, but I had the utmost respect for her. She was the eldest of us all. And so Greenthumb it was. When we got to Starlight, we were amazed. The only thing that gave me pause was that chair. It seemed so much a throne. And indeed, that's what it would become. When we first met them, Amber was hanging these awnings, yeah, on both sides of the cafe, for no other reason than to offer some shade. And she was up on this ladder, and there was Lucky holding the ladder, keeping it steady. And you can't help but think, well, that's a courteous fella. But now that I look back, I think on how much he enjoyed controlling the fate of others. And if he was a king, if he made the rules, then those rules were enforced by his army of dogs. You had Boxer, you had Topo, and Scroungy. And Scroungy, he was usually off doing, well, supposedly what his name implied, scrounging, but he wasn't very good at it. And all the dogs lived right next to me, under that collapsed overhang. Me, I occupied the space that Rod, that fellow, that he had made for himself. It was comfortable enough. As for Emma, she lived like a self-described princess atop, uh, whatever, projector tower, I guess. So she stayed up there where, according to Lucky, he had found Harold's body. Now, we swapped out the mattress for a sleeping bag, a courtesy that wasn't afforded that Rod fellow. Emma was smart. In fact, she figured out how to get a turret working, and we put it out in the bus. The bus was just outside the gates. And Scroungy, he spent most of his time warming up to that turret. He was in love with that turret. He would hump the turret and was very defensive of the turret. It was strange. And he wasn't even a good scavenger. He'd usually come back with some stuffed monkey or a teddy bear or a squeaky alien toy. But the dogs were there as a front, as a defense. Any time a dog would stumble upon Starlight, they would be confronted. Oftentimes just by Lucky with his spear. Sometimes he'd have the dogs with him. Other times he'd ask us to join. Usually, things ended peacefully. But there were a couple times that I distinctly recall in those early days of my stay that Lucky put down an adult. He told us, he convinced us that adults carry a disease, and that disease could infect us. And no matter, you don't want to befriend an adult because ultimately they'll die of this disease. He had seen it happen over and over. Lucky was king, but he was not the sharpest tool. That's why I was grateful that Amber was there. Her edge on wisdom, Her motherly tendencies, they sustained us. They kept us going. And as long as she was in charge, things were going to be okay.